Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sober Swole podcast. And before we get to our excellent guest tonight, I am Jake Howard.
Oh, I can't hear your sound effect. That's fantastic. I don't know if you can hear it.
Oh, no.
Nobody heard any of that. I was still in
Oh,
broadcast mode, so it was silent and they saw us moving our
oh,
lips.
oh,
So
well, hi, everybody. I'm Jake Howard, and welcome to the Sober Swole podcast.
there it is.
There it is.
Oof. I'm DJ Swirl.
Chocolate and vanilla swirl.
Yes, sir.
And before we get to our excellent guest this evening, I will give a shout out to Royalty Nutrition. That's royaltynutrition.com. And to help me out, that is Warhorse.
Hey, it's Warhorse. Do you want your workouts to look like this? Or do you want your workouts to slay? When Warhorse picks his pre-workout, he wants it to slay. If you want second place, go with somebody else. If you want to be a champion, go with Royalty Nutrition.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Royalty Nutrition is a veteran-owned and operated supplement company that helps you, doesn't automatically use the cheapest ingredients in their supplements. Check them out. Use the discount code 37HAKE to save you 15% on your entire order. My next shout-out of the evening will be to Gorilla Gains. That's gorilla-gains with a Z.com. They are a fitness apparel company that you can wear comfortably in and out of the gym. They also make great equipment that helps keep you safe while you train. Check them out. Use the discount code Jake15 to save you 15% on that. And to talk about the empire of buy to buy, here's DJ Swirl.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is the holiday season. If you're shopping in store or online and you can't get what you want home, hit us up. You don't have the time, towing, or the muscle, we do on-demand delivery, moving, staging, TV, mounting, and assembly. That is buy to buy. We help you from the time you buy until the time we say goodbye. At buy to buy, BUYTOBYE, everywhere you are. This is the content creation side of the business, buy to buy studios. High quality, low stress, always a sound decision. If you have a podcast, you have a show idea that you want to try and elevate, hit us up. We will help bring that to the masses. Jake, who do we have on the show tonight?
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight on the show, we have Lulu, the Duchesse.
Oof.
Oh, God.
Oof. Oof.
Oh, God.
It's not live.
I messed that up. Yeah, it's definitely live. But, we're all about our Bill O'Reilly here. Do it live. But La Duchesse?
La Duchesse, yeah.
Derriere.
Almost got it.
That's good.
Yes.
I ain't speak French.
You sound like Donovan right now when he tries to speak French. Great.
Oh, man. So anyway, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Of
I'm excited to
course.
be here.
We're really glad to have you. So I did find out about your existence through a guy who was at one point in time a pretty entertaining independent wrestler, but we're here to talk about you.
Oh, we can talk about. We can mention. We can sprinkle him in throughout. He's definitely part of.
But you were 2018 NOLA Queen of Burlesque, the 2019 Duchess of Burlesque, the Burlesque Hall of Fame, and you are the reigning, defending, undisputed, current Miss Exotic World.
I am. I kind of wish the title came with like some kind of like belt rules,
Oof.
where like any wrestler could just challenge me on the street.
The 24/7 rule.
Yeah, I like that. If I was like defending Miss Exotic World, that'd be great.
So, for our audience, could you give us a little background about you, just so they are less ignorant?
Oh yeah, sure. My name is Lulu La Duchesse Riere, or Lauren. I'm a burlesque dancer from Montreal, Canada. That's where I currently live for now. But I was originally born in the States and raised on a Mohawk reservation in Canada called Ganawage. I've been performing for about 17 years. This month, I think, is 17 years. And yeah, I've been sober for 130, sorry, sorry, oh no, sorry, 429 days. So 14 months or what? Thank you. Yeah. I guess that's it. Like in a nutshell, in the Reader's Digest version, I'm a burlesque dancer. I'm sober. I live in Canada right now. I'm gonna be living in the States in a few months. And I think that's it. Oh, I'm married
All
to a
right.
wrestler. You
Yeah,
might know
yeah.
him.
Talk about
This is
sprinkling.
little sprinkles, little sprinkles. No, so you do have a very interesting career in the world of burlesque. My sister's in a burlesque troupe back where I'm from, but you do it a little bit bigger than she does. How did you get into this career, and then obviously rise through the ranks like you have?
Oof. Yeah, I guess. Uh, yeah, I started kind of. I'm gonna really date myself now. I was doing musical theater from the age of 5 to 18, um, in Ganawage, which is like the res I grew up on. And around that time, I started going. I was in college and I was doing a degree in health sciences. I had like labs that were like till like 8 p.m. And I just couldn't handle like school and like rehearsal scheduled, so I had to drop out of theater. And it's something that I'd known my whole life. I was like this super hyperactive kid, and I had all these like weird activities that I did throughout my like you know teenage years. But theater was something that really kept me grounded. Uh, so yeah, around 18, I had like my first big bout of depression, because I didn't have a creative outlet, and I had a friend that just like sent me a MySpace ad and was just like, "There's this thing called burlesque, and it's kind of like theater. It's striptease, but it's like costuming, choreography. Like there's a theatrical component." And she's like, "It's really, really like you're a solo artist, so you don't have to like go to rehearsals all the time if you don't want to." And this troupe is having a live audition. So the first time I performed was, I think, 3 weeks after my 18th birthday, which is the age of legality in Canada. So like really, really like I applied when I was 17 and I performed like right when I was 18. And I won this little mini competition and I got a 2-year contract with the local troupe. Uh, and yeah, I was like really addicted to the performance style and the people I met. And it was just right away, it's something I instantly fell in love with. And also at the time I didn't realize it, but I grew up like the high school I went to was like a very like conservative private Catholic all girls school. So when I was in college, I was like really shy and it was hard for me to just be around like other people because I was used to just like not giving a shit about like how I looked or if I talked too much or like because I was just amongst friends for so many years. So at the time that I started doing burlesque, I didn't realize it, but it was really like this vehicle and this safe space for me to explore like my voice and like kind of it's gonna sound so corny, but like stepping into womanhood and like sexuality in a very safe, controlled environment. So I'm really, really lucky that I found it because I know that a lot of people start later on in life. They'll start in their like 20s or 30s or, you know, that's kind of the beauty of burlesque. There's no age limit. There's no like height or body or like dance training or like you can come at it with zero technique and you just make it your own. So yeah, I started doing that. I did that and started touring. Um, I got really frustrated with my local scene because, I mean, this is almost 2 decades ago, but it was very different, the landscape. There was not a lot of performers of color, and they would never put us in the same shows together. So it was like really fucked up. So I was like, you know what? I'm not getting the stage time I want. I'm gonna like make a name for myself. So I started touring, and like I was involved in that pay to play part of the career for a hot minute, where I would fly myself out to cities. I would sleep on couches. I would take buses. I did tours in New York where I would take a 12-hour bus to New York. I'd hop on a train to Long Island, and then I would like sleep on couches and do like 5 shows in a night. It was just like, it was horrible, but I loved it. Um, and then, I had my daughter 8 years ago, and that was really another kind of big moment, because very shortly after having Clara, I was a single mom. So I had this kind of like crossroads where I'm like, I have to make this profitable. I have to, like, this has to support my family, or I have to get out of it. And I can't keep paying to go and do these things. So I started focusing on competitions, and I started winning competitions, and then I started headlining shows, and that's now my full-time career. So stick with it, kids, and you too.
Yeah. You hear that, Allison? I believe in you. That's
I mean, the similarity in wrestling is
The more you know.
yeah.
um so you did mention your sobriety. So with what you're comfortable to share with,
Yeah.
what led to that, and then what led to you finally being like enough?
Oh, I mean, you know, there's so much stuff that happens in the course of your life, and like I know everybody's sobriety journey is different. I will say off the bat, like what really was the push for me was having a friend that took me to a meeting. Um, that wasn't like what that sparked it, but getting myself to a meeting, uh, and having like the structure, and I'm sure we're gonna get into this, but yeah, like structures of meetings and sponsors and accountability and all that stuff like that. Um, it really made me accountable and turn a mirror inwards. So like I did my steps, and I worked the program, but when I was doing my inventory, I was just like, man, I should have, like, this is like my first real attempt at like real sobriety, and I was like, fuck, I've had like bottoming out. I'm just like, oh, there's been a bottoming out. So yeah, I think it was just like I remember the day before, the day before I decided to get sober. I was performing in another city, and um, I told myself that I wasn't going to drink. I had put limits on the amount that I was drinking, and then it just kind of got away from me. It's got away from me, and um, I woke up the next day. I was on a train back home, and I was still really drunk, and I had to go to my daughter's birthday party, and I'm like, what am I doing? This is horrible. This is horrible. I feel like crap. There's so much like just shame, and it was like nothing bad. It was just like nothing like, because in the you know I'm doing quick math here. Forgive me. Like in the 20
You're
years
fine.
that I've been drinking, there's been some horrible things that have happened. Like anybody that struggles with addiction, we all have things that happen. So I think in the lexicon of bad things that have happened, this was a pretty minor one where I just drank too much at a show. Um, when I said I wouldn't, but I think it was just like the exhaustion of years of buildup of wanting to just, like they say, you're tired of being tired, and that was really it. Like I just woke up and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I really need to stop. And the next day, I talked to a friend that had been through a program, and they're like, "Let's get you to a meeting." And I remember I told my mom, because I love my mom so much, and I wanted to be accountable to somebody because I knew if I didn't say it to somebody, I wasn't going to go to the meeting. So I called my mom. I'm like, "Hey, mom, I'm going to CA," and my mom goes, "CA, Cocaine Anonymous?" And she's like, "Do you have a coke problem?" I'm like, "No, no, no." I'm an alcoholic, mom, but I just want to hang out with some cokeheads because they seem to. So I was just like approaching everything light with humor and with my mom, and like it was pretty wild. Like I will say, the first meeting I had, because yeah, I think again, like there are definitely things I didn't love about AA. I'm not religious, um, and they gender a lot of things. So there's like really kind of questionable sexist dynamics. And I was told, like, you know, you're gonna only speak to the women basically, and they're gonna come up to you and approach you.
Wow.
You should sponsor right away. So I got a sponsor, and I like in my mind I'm like, the reason they don't want us fraternizing is they don't want us hooking up, right? Like, that's the I
Mm-hmm.
think that's yeah, right. But my sponsor was a lesbian. I'm just saying,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is a little dated. I'm just gonna say, you know, like, this is what you're worried about. This is really dated. But yeah, my sponsor, the woman that became my sponsor, uh, she introduced herself and we were talking, and I like it took me like maybe a minute to place her, and I had met her in active addiction. Uh, she didn't remember it, but I remembered it. And then there was a girl that I used to work with at the meeting that was there. Like I, you know, again in active addiction, partied with her 10 years ago. Um, and the speaker gave this like beautiful talk about like her struggle with sobriety and her journey to recovery. And at the end, she goes to give me her number, because I think that's like commonplace. You give numbers at the end to new people. So she's like, Lauren, I'd love to give you my number. And she gave, she's like, oh, what's your number? I'll take your number. So I give her my phone number, and my name was already in her phone. And then she's just like, oh, this is awkward. And I'm like, yep. She goes, do you remember how we know each other? I'm like, nope. So it was one of those moments where I was like, okay, like, I think the universe is giving me a sign that like I need to be in this specific room with these people
Yeah.
right here. Like, there's 3 people that I know. And I just kind of rolled with it. In 2018, I I realize a lot, like in this journey of sobriety, like just my patterns and my habits, and I do things vindictively a lot. Um, so I remember there being concern about like my drinking, and to prove a point that I didn't have a problem drinking, I stopped drinking for like 9 months. Um, and only when I went into the rooms did I realize that that is referred to as a dry drunk.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Ooh.
literally celebrated my 9 months with a drink, and I was just like, sweet, I don't have a drinking problem. So it was very eye opening, to be in that place and to just be like really ready to make a change. And I'm happy I did. Like I was talking to my mom about this, when I hit a year. I was telling her, you know, I think one of the first meetings I went to, they're talking. This guy was like, "I'm such a grateful alcoholic," and I remember being so mad. I was just in the back with my arms crossed, just like mean mugging him, and it's like, "Oh yeah, you're grateful. You're so grateful." And I was like, "I'm grateful for shit." I'm sorry. I should ask. Can I swear? I swear a lot. I'm like
No, you're
dirty.
okay.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
like,
No,
but
I'm a Marine vet. My mouth gets
oh,
away from me, so you're good.
yeah. So I remember being really like salty at the beginning. And then having this kind of full circle moment around the year mark where I was just like, oh, I can see and understand the gratefulness in this journey, and then all of its like hardships, because the first year, like I wasn't prepared for like the first 9 months of sobriety.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, I thought, you know, like once I physically withdraw, it's gonna be easy. Um, I kept telling myself, I'm like, once you get to 3 months, you're gonna be good. And I would say for me, and I know everybody's journey is different, but like I remember like 3 to 9 months, like every day was a struggle, and it was really
Mm-hmm.
hard. Um, and I had a friend like really break it down for me, and she was just like, you know, your body's going through like a physical detox, and she goes, but then your mind has to detox, and she goes, that takes like a long time. She goes, because you're like revisiting so much stuff that you
Mm-hmm.
pushed away in addiction, and it's like stuff that like from your childhood, stuff from like, and there's a lot of anger in that. So it was like learning to live, like to be patient with yourself, but also to like live in anger. and
Yep.
to and yeah, I felt like I grew 20 years in like months. So I do feel very grateful to have all that like introspection, and kind of self-awareness. Because at the end of the day, it's about like for me at least, sobriety has been a lot of accountability, and like my role, like in stuff that's happened. There's stuff that's out of your control, but we all have a part in that too, right? Like our reactions and like, yeah. Anyways.
But it's pretty wild, like learning how to feel for real, and
Mm,
then you're like, no, you just have to deal with that. Like, oh, oh no, you know.
yeah, and not like wanting to drink about it. I was very grateful. I have a few sober buds. I have lots of sober friends now, but I have a few that like really, really were there for like the late night calls, and it's something that is something so tiny, like trivial, can like send you through a spin. And I remember calling my friend at like 3 in the morning because I had like an argument with a friend about something so stupid. It was so dumb, and I was just like, dude, I just want to go to a bar. And I'm like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I know where this bar is. I'm just gonna walk in and just like hang out there. And my friend was like, don't do it. Don't do it. And
Mhm.
I like, has it occurred to you that you are subconsciously picking this fight because you want to drink, that you've been wanting to drink, and now you have a reason to drink? And I'm just like, I'm like,
Maybe.
when you put it like that, I don't know. And then I'm like, yeah, your brain wants to drink.
Yeah.
Your brain is mean to you, and it does horrible things to you, and like you having to, yeah, it's kind of like, I know this term gets like thrown around a lot, but it's almost like you're gaslighting yourself, right? Like you're really, so it's made me really cautious too of like my feelings and like my reactions to things, where I'm just like, I'm gonna take a five. I'm gonna take, hit my like nicotine, my elf bar for like 3 minutes.
Hmm. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like in Canada, obviously, because I'm not from there. But there's a big stigma with Native communities in the states about drunk natives. So I don't. Is it kind of like the same thing there?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
So do you
Um,
so do you catch flack about being sober now, or is it?
well, I think there is a huge, huge movement of sobriety, or like the red path, in Indigenous communities, amongst like Indigenous youth, which is really, really great. I think, um, like when I was in active addiction, I remember almost getting into like a fight at a bar because uh, somebody spilled my beer. And then this girl's like, I'll buy you another beer. And she goes, what are you? You're so exotic looking. And I told her, I'm like,
Oof.
I'm half black and I'm native. And then she goes, should I really be giving this to you?
Damn.
Ooh.
uh, yeah,
Oh.
it took, it got pretty, that got really ugly that night. And yeah, I mean, there's lots of racism everywhere. Quebec is like very, very racist and like super anti-Indigenous. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I just like, I don't really look at my sobriety through like other people's eyes. Like the only people that I care to talk to sobriety about are like my partner, my family, and other people in active addiction, or like recovery, because they get it. And like
Right.
nobody, I don't know. Like I love people in recovery. Like they're just the chillest people you'll ever meet. There's no judgment. Like, and I
Yeah.
don't know. I haven't really had any bad encounters um, in recovery about that. But then definitely when I was like in addiction, that
Yeah.
was,
Well, I mean, I come from a straight Snow White perspective, so
yeah.
it's, I was hoping for some more insight on that, so I appreciate it.
Oh no, no worries. I'm just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. People are racist.
Oh, get out of town!
Yeah, they're racist in Canada too.
Oh, so it's not all just nice and maple syrup
Oh
chasing
no,
geese.
it's insidiously racist here. People, it's in our like laws and stuff like that. But yeah, to talk about like just like motivation and stuff like that, I think that a few things helped me early on in just like sticking with it. One early thing that I did was every time I wanted to drink, I would just tell my husband, I'd be like, I really want to have a drink right now. And that I just let the moment, I would acknowledge it and like let it pass.
Mm-hmm.
Or we would talk about it or whatever. But what that did for me was I was associating my feelings with drinking. So like I realized very quickly that I never ever want to drink when I'm happy. I never want to drink when I'm in a good space. I only ever really want to drink when I'm stressed out or sad or tired or like lonely. Then that's straight out of straight out of the big book, and I was like, oh yeah, that's literally it. These are my patterns. So early pattern recognition is important. Um, and then yeah, just like uh, I think rebranding sobriety, which I still kind of do, was important, right? Like, um, I think that's a fear for a lot of people, especially like nightlife workers, or just like anybody. I think it's a really valid fear that you're going to lose friends, or that you're not going
Mm-hmm.
to be the same person that you are, or that if you're like a performer, like I'm not going to be as good as I am when I'm drinking. I'm not going to be as like entertaining. Um, and I think those are all valid fears, but just seeking out other people in like my industry, in my scenes, like in my, places that I like to be that also didn't drink, and just like striking up a conversation, and kind of having that like safety and like that network of people was really, really important. I was really surprised because, you know, uh, at the Burlesque Hall of Fame, which is like the Olympics of burlesque, that it's a 1 year event, once a year event. It happens in Las Vegas, and it's like the most intense competition in our industry. So like yeah, it's like 12 people get selected to compete for the biggest title. And there's lots and lots of build up. And the last time I did it was in 2019. Um, and I placed. I did really really well. But that was the night that I had my first drink after like the 9 months of not drinking. Was at Beehoff. So this year, going into that competition, I was so stressed, not because I was like, oh, I'm gonna like mess up, it's gonna be horrible. Um, I was stressed about relapsing because I knew it was like a high pressure situation, and I just was really afraid that that was gonna be a bad environment because yeah, there's a lot of drinking, and drugs and like partying and all that stuff. So I was like, I'm just gonna reach out to people and be like really open about this. And I was so happy. There's like a sober community of burlesque dancers that hold meetings at the venue. So I went every single
Oh,
day.
that's rad.
I went every single day. I did a meeting like right before the competition. And then because I was in these rooms with these people, they knew that I was like under this pressure cooker of like just like stress. So as soon as I got off stage, I had people that were like waiting for me to be like, "You were amazing. How do you feel? Do you want water? Do you want like a non-alcoholic beer? Like what do you need?" Like I had like just a bunch of people around me to be like making sure that I was okay. Um,
That's
and
amazing.
yeah, I'm just like I still I'm in a place right now where I feel like I'm getting back to the core of who I always felt I was. Like I like to go out, I like to dance, I like to go to karaoke. I'm like those are all things that you can do sober and
Yep.
still have fun. I was in Tampa doing a show, and I the producers were really sweet. They were like, "Hey, we know you're sober, but do you feel comfortable going out afterwards?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, let's go! I want to go out." And I closed down the bar like with my friends. Like at 3 in the morning, we were dancing, and I just having the time of my life. And I was just like, "Wow, this is really amazing." And I was just like in that moment, I was like, "This is it. This is great." Um, and I felt really freeing to just like, yeah, full circle moments where you're like,
You found your clan.
yeah, nothing are possible. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's great.
So I say this all the time on the show. One of the best things I did when I moved up around Austin was I went and I got a job as a at a bar. I was
Mhm.
security in a bar back, and that was one of the best things I could have ever done. So I was like a year and a half, 2 years sober, and then I was around idiots, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that was you," you know. So,
Yeah.
so but it's no, that's amazing. It's great to find. It is so great to find your people, and they're there. I
Yeah.
was talking to. We had a guest on a couple months ago now. Our friend Nikki, and she was talking about, well, how do I find friends? It's like, oh, they'll find you. You
Hmm.
know, like, and they just come out of nowhere. They're like, oh yeah, me too, and then they're there.
Yeah, I know. It is hard because like you have to like your sobriety has to come first, and that might mean you can't go out if that's like if for a bit or like see people or like be triggered, and like your real friends are going to understand that. Your real friends are going to be there for you and support you. And some people are not comfortable with that. Some people like sobriety stresses them out. Um, I feel that um, I don't know if this is true for you, but sometimes I feel like sobriety makes a lot of people uncomfortable. They don't know
Yeah.
how to respond to you, or they're worried about triggering you. So I'm always just like quick to reassure people, like, no, I'm good in my sobriety. Like, and if I'm not, I'll let you know. Like, I'll let you know, or
Hmm.
I could take care of myself. But there's like the extreme version of that where some people are not at a point to maybe confront their own issues around um, abuse or like usage, and being around people that are sober can kind of like turn a mirror in on them. And I think that there's like
Hmm.
that's the one thing I'm really really adamant about with sobriety. It's so individual. It's such a journey. Relapse is a big part of it, and like that's something that like truly scares me, but like also knowing that that's like a normal part of it for a lot of people. um, and yeah, like not to I try my best not to preach it. Like I'm like, oh, my life is so much better. If somebody's
Yeah.
asking, I used to be an asshole like you. No, but like I have had friends that have come up to me and been like, "This is inspiring. I'm also struggling, and like I don't want to." It's there's like such shame around confronting addiction, but at the
Hmm.
same time, a society that completely normalizes binge drinking and drug use and like glamorizes. Like I don't know if you watched The Queen's Gambit. Did you watch it?
Yeah.
Yeah, she has like there's this scene where she's like bottoming out in her house, and it's just like the most glamorous thing ever. She's like in silk
She looks
pajamas.
sexy as hell for no reason.
Yeah,
Hmm.
like
By
goddamn, like that.
herself at the bottom. Yeah.
I was like, where were the cops? I don't know. This bitch
No bones are broken. No one's bleeding. This is
is
bullshit.
not lying in a pool of vomit. Like, what the f is this? Like, it just like it's so. So I will say, and especially for women, it's like really, really not talked about. Or like,
Hmm.
so I get it. Um, and yeah, I'm also like I always have like an open door kind of policy where I'm like I'm just here holding space. If you feel comfortable, happy to talk to you about my experience. Because also, AA isn't for everybody.
No, no, it is not.
It's not. It is not. I was telling a friend I took one of my friends to a meeting because they had inquired about it, and they were just like the whole time I was like, "Oh, this is horrible," and I'm like, "Yep, I agree." Like I agree. It's like very preachy, and it's like it's a lot of stuff. Um, and the next day I messaged her and I was like, "Look, there's the Satanic Temple offers a non-denominational like sober space virtually, and there's also alternatives like there and yeah, I'm like just find a community that works for you."
Yeah.
Um, and
Some
that's
people need a program. Some people need an inpatient place.
yeah.
Some folks can just raw dick it, and
Yeah, yeah.
I think
So,
that's an American term.
oh no, I the time. Like the first year, people would be like, "How's sobriety?" And I'd be like, "Chain smoking cigarettes." I'm like, "Just raw dogging life right now." I don't.
You
So
got sometimes you gotta, you know.
yeah, and I mean, there's like some great stuff that's come out of it. Yeah, I don't love AA, but like I'm really happy that I did uh, my steps because like there were some really unexpected things that came out of that. I remember, not wanting like nobody wants to do the ninth step, which is like making a list of people that you've harmed and then confronting them about it. Be like, remember
Mhm.
me.
Yep.
So yeah, I did that. I was like, you know what, I want to do it, and so I made my list, and I was like the first few people I did my amends to, they were just so amazing and sweet. And they were just like, I'm like, do you have anything you want to say to me? And they were always just like, we're so proud of you. And then, no, this is great. And so I was like, like the first three were so easy. So then I had like my mom, who's in the next room. I was like, oh, sweet. My mom's the easiest one because she loves me forever. It's so fucking easy. I'm going to make my amends to my mom. So I go and I make my amends to my mom, and I say, like, do you have anything you want to say? And she goes, yeah, actually, I was not prepared. I was not
Ooh,
prepared for basically
that was her
that.
moment.
Yeah, that was, and it wasn't like there was nothing hateful. It was just like the full realization of like the pain that I had inflicted on this woman.
Mhm.
And then also as being a parent now, it puts things in such perspective where I'm like, I could not even imagine. I could not even imagine. Like, so now I like go to bed with fear in my heart, in my mind.
Mhm.
um, but yeah, I'm like, I'm just so grateful for the people in my life because like I understand the immense amount of patience that it has taken each and every person to stick with me through this, and to be with me. Um, and like yeah, my mom was great, and I think one of the hardest things was like she told me a story that I thought I knew about something that had happened, and I completely didn't. I had no idea that like the full extent of what had happened, and this is something that had happened like 10 years ago. Um, and it was like really really eye opening because it like in that moment I understood like if I ever drink again, this is gonna kill me. And
Mhm.
like it was really real for me because like I um essentially like flatlined drinking when I was 25, and I had no
Whoa.
idea. Yeah. Um I just thought I got alcohol poisoning, but I like had to be revived.
Wow.
Yeah, so like yeah, hearing that 10 years later was really really trippy, and it like really sent me through a spiral. Um, but yeah, again, so there was some good stuff that came out of that. It's not for everybody. And I also like him of the thought process that not everybody needs to like you don't need to apologize to everybody.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like I was saying, I didn't work the program, but one of those was I definitely apologized to my mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, there was a whole bunch of crap that went on when I was living in Arizona the first time, and then I got real heavy, more heavy into coke and my booze. And then like one day I just called my mom. I was like, "You gotta come get me." And then when she showed up, I was fucked up and
Mhm.
like that, like partying all day before she rolled into town. And then the whole drive back, I was like detoxing, and I was such a dick, and like it was bad. Like so, I mean, like she's forgiven me, but like when hearing stuff from her side when she laid it all down too, it was like, ah, yeah.
She's like, "Where's my camera?"
Aren't you proud of your firstborn?
Well, she blessed us with her presence on this show,
Yeah, she did.
and
That was cool.
she might have been our best guest up until this point. So, because she was able to lay it out, and to see him smiling on the back end of her reliving that trauma in real time, like on a live stream to the public. Like, that's that to me, that's a coolness factor for your mom, is being
Hmm.
able to be able to talk to you about that in retrospect, in real time, and learning from that. So I think that's really great.
You get a lot of
Yeah.
that. I love you, but here's what you did to me. But
Hmm.
I still love you, and you're like, ah.
That's all of
Yeah.
those. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. That's the disappointed list.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to confront that because it's just like, you know, I did feel like this immense, like, I'm like, oh, I just want to make this up to you. Like, I just like, because again, it's just like the fully understanding, at least for me, that like I didn't know the full scope of how bad things were. Like, even when I was like, I don't give a shit. I'm like,
Yeah.
I literally was like, I'm like, I am super high functioning. Like, I never missed work. I was always like good on stage. Like, I was like a very high functioning drinker. And to hear that story where I just like, I have no recollection of any of that. It is completely gone. And I was like, it's so scary to see
Mhm.
like just like the tip of where that could go, right? Like the uh, yeah. So
I love how
I
So
really
yeah.
casually you went into that. Like, oh, my mom loves me. This will be a breeze.
yeah, it's
That's
like
wild.
yeah. I mean, there is like yeah,
I know my
it's like
mom, the conversations we have lately have been more contentious than anything, more politics than anything. But like, yeah, just hearing her talk about stuff and
yeah.
giving you the detail that you could have never remembered because you were in the moment and you were young or whatever the case was. So, uh, yeah, it's always interesting. I saw that you and your husband recently celebrated 4 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Congrats.
Of course, married.
Oh,
Next month will be yeah, 5 year dating anniversary in January, and then yeah,
And
4 years married.
you have a four. I just lost what I was gonna say. Yeah, you have a September wedding date.
Yes.
Mine is on the 15th. So high
Don't
five.
ask either of us what our wedding date is because we both.
Oh, okay, we're.
We're truly soulmates because we always forget our wedding date.
I have a little collage of pictures on my wall in my main hallway that I walk by thousands of times. And I looked at it like 2 days ago, and I looked at the year, and I was like, "Oh yeah." I thought I got married in '08. It's in '07. Got the date. Got the day and the time. Yeah, it was all bad. So
let's see. I gotta find.
it happens. So 4 years now. How? At what stage in your recovery did you meet your husband?
I was in addiction when I met my husband. Yeah, but yeah, I definitely was drinking when I'm like when we started dating. Um, but we were long distance for a long time. So again, it was like really manageable, or I thought it was.
High
I was like,
functioning.
yeah. So
Yeah.
just like, oh, whatever, party, 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 good, good, good. And then it's all the, um, because I think the more I get into sobriety, because like I also like I go to therapy. I like it's all these things that are happening at once. It's like this bigger picture where I try not to lean too much into causation, but there's so much correlation between like trauma and PTSD and like uh you know I don't know, like there's just so much stuff that contributes or paints a bigger picture of
Hmm.
why people are the way that they are. Um, and I think that there was a lot of trauma that I hadn't dealt with from my childhood, my teenage years, and then like I think the bigger trauma, like one of the bigger traumas that like set me off into like a first big tailspin. I was uh, at like one of the only school shootings we've had in Canada. So when I was in college, uh, somebody came into my college and shot a bunch of people. And I got pulled into a room with somebody that had been shot in the chest. And then we had to flee. It was a really, really traumatic event. And like just this year I started processing it, like truly processing it. Um, cause yeah, I realized that like it started this cycle of like kind of imploding my life where I would just like, I'd be doing something super, super great. And then it would become too much. And I would just like, um, spiral. I would like drink and smoke and party and like, um, drop out of school, but then go back to school. Like I dropped out of health sciences because I was like the goal was to do forensic science. That's what I was like on this track to do. And I dropped out in my last semester because I was like, I don't want to deal with this. I want to do it. And then something similar happened a few years later. I went to law school at 19 and I was on track to
Wow.
do law. And then like 2 years in, I was just like, can't do this. And it's not just like the school. Like if I was in a relationship, I'd burn it down. I would, super, super self-destructive behavior. Uh, and yeah, like understanding that yes, alcoholism is like a symptom, and it's like, but it's a symptom of like greater stuff that's there. So like now I'm at
Mm-hmm.
that stage in my recovery where I'm trying to work through a lot of stuff, and that's it's a little tricky. Yeah,
Does
I
he?
mean, like,
I'm
I
sorry.
have so. Oh no, I was gonna say I have so much love and respect to the people in my life, like my friends and my family, and especially my husband, because I think for him it's hard because like I do revisit a lot of old stuff,
Mm-hmm.
um, and like we had a conversation once where it was just like, yeah, I thought we talked about this like 3 years ago, and I'm just like, yeah, we did. I'm like, but I'm realizing that, yeah, I need to process these things sober. I need to like get closure sober. I need to like,
Yeah.
um, so it sucks too because like, I went to see my dad, I have a very good relationship with my dad. We're buds. And yeah, that threw me into like another unexpected kind of tailspin of just like, I'm 5 years old again. Like I'm like,
Wow.
you know, so that balance of like needing to confront things and being gentle with yourself, but also like being super frustrated because you're like, I'm fucking 35 years old, and why is this person holding so much like power over me? Like why is this one thing that happened to me when I was 17 like I can't breathe, or like I'm having a panic attack, like it's debilitating. But yeah, just raw dogging it, writing it
Yep.
out.
Yes.
You got to. You got to.
I have a very well paid for therapist that I like, once a week. It's like I'm like, how you doing? I'm like still dealing with this stuff, but it's just nice to have a soundboard. It's nice to be able to talk to people that have patience and love you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like one of the worst things about addiction is you just convince yourself that you're not deserving of love and that people don't care about you, or that you're like a burden, or I've been there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I know that like a lot of people are estranged from their families. A lot of people are like maybe have severed ties with everybody, but like you will make a new community of people that care about you.
Yep.
That yeah.
But I was gonna. Sorry. Before we got into talking about traumas and stuff, when we were talking about our weddings and things. So
Mm.
I had an ADHD moment, so I had to find something. So did your wedding pictures look something like that?
Oh
Oh,
goodness, this is your wedding picture.
It's not a wedding picture; it's at home. But,
that's the
but
first. That's the first time I've ever seen that.
yeah,
Uh,
I could have
that
gone.
is
I could have gone
awesome.
without. Yeah.
Um,
Why did you
you know,
feel the need to say
hey,
that?
you just tell the old man I've been around for a minute.
I love that so much.
Wow.
No, so
Yeah,
because all right, so I found him on Twitter one day
yeah.
and I was like, who is this guy? I have to do a deep dive. And my wife, we were engaged at the time. She goes, he is so creepy. I don't like him at all. And I went, so,
Yeah,
so
he
I
got
mean,
mad. he got mad
I'm
once
sorry.
because I was talking about how I thought Willem Dafoe was attractive. And he was just like, he's a ghoul. And I'm just like, who the hell do you think you are? You're like very young. Like, you are a
Oh
young
yeah.
Willem Dafoe. This is what I'm hoping for. So yeah, I know. I just
Oh yeah. No,
yeah. Oh,
but I'm sorry. That was my sprinkle. I had to throw a sprinkle in there.
So wait, is that what? Please explain to me what your face was on your face.
So Lou's husband has a very distinctive face paint that he wears when he's wrestling,
Very good.
and it was a couple years ago now. He did a limited run of you could buy these masks, and I was like, "Yep." And I was like, "Oh, right on time because we're getting married. It'll show up right before right before we get married."
Did you show her that picture before she agreed to this?
No.
That was the best. That was the most clutch thing you did with all that, because I don't know if she would have came. Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, hey, just by the way, I am a big fan, except I do shower and I wear deodorant, so it's
Yeah,
okay.
no doubt, no doubt, fanboy. Um, so since you both kind of dress up, you both dress up as a profession. How does that ever leak into your personal lives?
oh, I mean, yeah. I mean,
I mean,
it's
does he
funny.
wear that mask for you in a
Well,
way
it's
that you would burlesque for him?
all right. Let's do kayfabe right now. We keep the illusion. When
Right,
he's
right, right.
when he's in his human makeup, I his human disguise. It's funny because I think we're really, I don't know, we complement each other in such a like. I definitely have a lot more energy. I'm more like ah
Mhm.
rambunctious. Donovan is definitely more of a like his like just wants to stay at home, and like we are really just super calm people normally when we're home. However, at the beginning of the pandemic, we were like in Montreal, we had like strict lockdown stuff. So we were like we had curfews. So if you left your house after like 8 p.m., you would get fined $5,000.
Holy cow.
Yo.
Yeah, so like we were stuck in the house, and we have like a three people in like a Montreal apartment. It was a lot. So we try to like find ways to keep each other entertained. And I think it was like day 3 of a lockdown. We were like, let's just do each other's makeup, and we're
Yes.
gonna. So Donovan painted my face in like Danhausen makeup, and I put him into full drag. Like I blocked his eyebrows out, like a wig. Um, and yeah, I mean, like truly, I think this was like I know the pandemic was not kind to a lot of relationships, but it definitely was. It was so fun in our house.
That's
Like,
dope. That's
yeah,
dope.
I'm married to like the funniest person on the planet, and so
Mhm.
yeah, we just laughed a lot, and I don't know, like constantly dressing up in each other's clothes and stuff like that. We're silly, but wrestling and burlesque are super similar. Like as professions, like it's all just pageantry.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, like that's another nice thing about being with a partner that like really truly understands like the work that you do, and the hustle, and like just like I admire him so much because he's so driven. Like I've never met somebody like I thought I was motivated and I have like drive. Donovan has like ridiculous drive, and when we met and when we started dating, he was like doing like indie shows where he was based in Detroit and would drive to like there was one day because we were long distance. He drove like 12 hours to Montreal. We slept. We drove back to Michigan, saw his family for like a few hours, and then drove to Nashville where we both gigged.
Damn.
So we were in the car for like 3 days. Um,
Yeah, you
and then
gotta
we,
love somebody to do something like that.
Yeah, y'all
yeah,
were prepped for the pandemic.
yeah. But I mean, this is like before it, like like we maybe made like a few $100, like like we were like we didn't cover the gas, but
Right.
like just the love of what
You were doing
like
it.
well yeah.
That's
And I
awesome.
was just like, it was so awesome to be like, I'm like, God, this he gets it, like he gets it, and he gets it more than I do because like I'm like I want I would drive to Nashville. They're paying for my hotel, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it comes to burlesque and wrestling, do you have like a stage character that you stay in during the whole time you're doing your competition, or is it like
Honestly, I feel like I know a lot of people will. Yeah, I've been doing it for a long time. So when I came up, there was no real like burlesque schools or like there were a few books on burlesque, and YouTube wasn't like as big as it is now. So it was really just like trial and error. Then now I think there's a lot of people that like go to classes. They'll start with a troupe, so there's more guidance and stuff like that. But I find with more guidance comes like more kind of gatekeepy kind of stuff, or like this is the way it's done, and you need to
Right.
do this before you get on stage. And I'm like, it's just burlesque. It's literally just getting on stage and taking your clothes off and having a good time. So whenever I try to train anybody, I'm like, just get out of your head and do it. Because I definitely did not approach this like a method actor. I wasn't like, this is my character and she shall eat and drink this. And when she's on stage, like, and some people do that. And that's totally great. And that works for a lot of people. But I feel like because I always said that Lulu is just Lauren on steroids. And like, we're all multifaceted individuals. Like,
Sasha Fierce.
yeah. Yeah. I'm like, we're all multifaceted
I know Jake
individuals.
gets that reference, but that's
I know who Beyonce is,
hey.
sir.
Yes. Well played, sir.
He's invited to the cookout.
Yeah. You got your invitation. He's been waiting for a while. Very
Yeah,
good.
so
Are there
think that-
divisions? Are there divisions?
no, I think there's troops and like there's definitely scenes. There's like community based burlesque, which is like your nightclubs and your brunch shows. Every city has community based burlesque. And then there's like corporate burlesque, which is like, fancy parties at Christmas. Those are generally the more well-paying gigs, but in my experience, have been like the more soul-sucking events, where it's just like I've been invited. One time, I think, when that horrible movie Burlesque came out. No offense to Christina Aguilera and Cher, but that is not an accurate portrayal of what burlesque is at all. But it was so popular. I remember getting a call from somebody's mom, and they're like, "My son's having a bar mitzvah. Do you want to like perform?" And I'm just like, "Ma'am, I'm a stripper. I don't think that's appropriate."
That's
and she
amazing.
goes, can you sing a song? And I'm like, nobody wants to hear me sing. I've never been paid to sing, and I don't think we're gonna start now. So yeah, it's like that kind of stuff where like I think with corporate, a lot of people just like you have to work more closely with the client about what they want. They often want like more of a showgirl or kind of like a go-go in a costume. But that's not the kind of performer I am. I'm a pretty like sexual, flippy,
Sure. So
like acrobatic performer.
the woman in the wine glass or in the martini glass.
Dita Von Teese, Catherine Delish. So
I know there's more. I'm just
there's
going
more.
off of yes.
But yes, there's more. Dita Von Teese originated the, I believe it is the martini glass is Dita Von Teese's, but she inherited that. She used to do that act with. I just said her name and now I'm blanking because I'm tired. Why can't I? Catherine Delish. Yes. So sorry. Catherine Delish is like an icon, as is Dita Von Teese. But Catherine Delish used to have the champagne flute, and Dita Von Teese had a martini glass. And these are like the iconic.
Right. That's a more accurate representation.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of it. Like, there's
Okay.
many kinds of burlesque. There's like neo burlesque. In that, there's like nerdlesque, gorelesque. Like burlesque is just like it is whatever.
Divisions. See, that's what I was getting at.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking like competitive divisions. Like,
Yeah.
Well,
are you a welterweight? Are
right,
you
right,
like?
right. Well, part of the show is swole, which is in
Yeah.
reference to bodybuilding. So like there are,
So
there are different. I'm the less educated one, but what I've learned is that there are more technical competitions, and then there's more to where it's of a show, to where it's like physique.
Well, physique. Okay, I don't think there's a lot of physique. Not to my knowledge, there has not been a swole burlesque competition.
I'm sure they're named in a different
there
fashion.
are swole performers. There's some burlesque performers
Yeah.
that are super cut. But a big thing about burlesque is that it's like for every body, right? So it's
Right.
like it's really body inclusive. That's what we strive for, is like body diversity, um, and just like acceptance of like it's supposed to be a super safe space for like all all races, all genders, all like it's just like these are the spaces where we're all supposed to operate in. There are definitely athletic performers that do some really, 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 really like Cirque du Hey Hey stuff, which is yeah. And yeah, there's like performers that just are like sex on legs, and they just like walk on stage, and just the way they stare at you, you're just like, oh. But
So
yeah,
I saw one of the you were brought on stage, and they said they labeled you as they introduced you as the stripping sensation from the Mohawk Nation. So there's no offense taken to that.
no, okay.
Okay,
So
very
actually,
good.
funny story. I got that tagline, and it's a longer tagline, and I'll tell you the full tagline.
Let's
It's great.
hear it.
The stripping sensation from the Mohawk Nation. You stole her land, and now she's gonna steal your heart. Lulu la Duchesse de Riere. I love that tagline so much because, yeah, I love it so much because like Indigenous people are very like specifically Iroquois people. We are super super proud. Like I come from like a warrior nation. I was raised in my community, and like I have so much love for my community. So like whenever I'm anywhere, I want people to know where I'm from and what they're gonna get.
Dope.
You don't fuck with Mohawk people. We're like the badasses of Turtle Island. So like I just think it's such a jarring kind of tagline. I've been booed for that tagline. I think in Arkansas and Texas. But also it just
shocking.
like
Oh.
the Bible Belt. Huh.
Oh. Oh.
Go figure. But also it's just funny because I'm just like the reason you would take offense to that is because it's talking about like land claim issues and that history. Hi, Mom. Sorry, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of funny because I don't mind it at all. I don't mind it at all. I think it's really fun. I got that tagline when I was performing in Chicago, probably I think eight years ago. I had a gig, and I didn't know this at the time, but the MC that normally does the show wasn't available, so they got another MC, and this MC was a local wrestling announcer.
Yes.
Nice.
And he was like, "I'm gonna give you a tagline," and he announced it like the stripping sensation for the Mohawk Nation, and like, we were just like shooting the shit and smoking cigarettes and like laughing about it backstage. I didn't think he was gonna say it, and he said it, and I was like, "That is so good." So I just kept it. It's great. It's so great.
Is there a burlesque character in the wrestling world?
I mean, I would argue that all of them are burlesque
Boom.
characters.
There you go.
Right?
There
They're
it is.
all sexy clowns.
Okay,
And
Jake.
then,
Yes.
but I mean, like burlesque is just gender. Jake the Snake, absolutely. Like they're all,
Yes. Right. She went right for it. Right for the judgment.
that rhinestones, that much fringe.
Let's hear it.
Come on.
Let's hear it.
So,
I mean,
yeah,
if you would have went Ultimate Warrior, I would have nodded my head. But the psychology
sorry?
master.
all your heroes are drag queens. That's all I'm saying. they're all, and that's the thing. Burlesque, drag, and wrestling. It's all gender performance. It's all gender performance, and like, and it's whatever. And it's also like I'm not gendering anything or saying this is for women, this is for men. But it is whoever is there. It's like
It's a caricature.
sexuality on steroids.
Yeah.
Right. whether it's the machismo, like I'm gonna, like watch any wrestling match from like mid '80s to early '90s. Like, it's so freaking like sexual, and they're all like, oiled up and like just like it's the costuming, the pageantry. Like it is just it's a soap opera. Drag is the same thing. Burlesque is like a little bit more like on the nose about it, but it's all the same thing. Like who wears more makeup, my husband or me? I don't know. I don't know, but you know, who has more rhinestones? I think I do, but like he has a lot of rhinestones on his cape because I made the cape for him. But also,
Nice.
yeah, you know, I think it's there's so much crossover in those worlds. It's great.
That was a way
And
better answer than I had ever anticipated for that question. So thank you.
Yeah.
That was great.
Well, I just got done watching all the old Vern Gagne AWA, and ma'am, I have a
Yeah, Jake is gonna have to lock himself into his
Yeah.
archive, and he's gonna have to watch some manly
I'm gonna have to-
wrestling.
I'm gonna have to walk off, shake this off.
I
The
mean,
challenge
it's
is yeah. It's
Oh no,
great.
I appreciate that. That's something I would have never looked at it like, and that makes a lot of sense. So I'm not
we get asked,
offended.
we get asked that question a lot. Where people are like, would you ever go into the ring? You'd manage Donovan, and I was like, yeah. Um, so on our first date, um, I don't know how it came about, but like we were talking about wrestling, and he's like, "Do you know anything about wrestling?" And I told him like, you know, I had like my mom was super strict when I was a teenager. I had like really strict curfews. I had to do really good in school. Um, and I had like two activities that allowed me to hang out with boys. So I played bass in a band with guys, and I joined a backyard wrestling like group from the age of
Hell
15.
yes.
That's
I
awesome.
was a ballet when I was a teenager, and then I was a manager, and then we got another girl in there, and I was able to throw her around a little bit. But yeah, never again. I never want to go through a table ever again. So I was like, no, I'm good. I'll just, you know, I like my little seat on the side of the ring where I'm just like, you're the best. Love you. Yeah. I'm not into pain
man.
anymore. Like it's not a. I don't actively want. Like my knees hurt from dancing. I don't want to like get tacks in my back or like no.
Yeah. No, that's I. Oh no, thank you. I was gonna my whole thing. I'm gonna do a reverse Marine thing.
Okay.
So, you always hear people say, "Well, I was going to join the Marines, but." Okay.
Uh-huh.
So my whole thing when I was getting out of the Marine Corps, I was going to go up to Lance Storm's school and
Mhm.
train, but my knees were already bad, and I'm 5'9". So I was like, I was almost going to be a wrestler, but I didn't go through.
I mean, it's never too late.
I've got a mouth on me, but I don't think I got too many bumps in the old bump card.
Yeah, I don't. It's funny because I just it's such an entertaining world, and it's again it's so similar to the world that I'm involved in with burlesque. Um, that yeah, I think it's fascinating, like just being around and then seeing these people like just walk around backstage and stuff like that. I'm just like, oh, Sting, Sting at the little coffee like spot, and was like had this like nice, and I was like, this is cute, this is cute. But yeah, they're just people that are you know doing amazing things with their bodies, and they're all such hard workers. And it just like it's really inspiring. I think it's been good for me to kind of uh, exist out of just like burlesque a little bit because you know I've been doing it for almost 2 decades, and it can be kind of like all consuming when it's all you do, right? Like I perform, I travel, I do costumes, I like teach, and yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to do that. So it's like nice sometimes just to be like, I'm just gonna go hang out and support my hardworking husband and like and take a break. And I'm like, oh, it's like the same kind of like chaotic atmosphere backstage, and like the nerves and like the, all that stuff that goes into this big show, and they do it every week, and I'm like, it's so impressive. Like, I feel like a kid at like I feel like Charlie in the chocolate factory. Like, I shouldn't be seeing all these things, but I'm like, this is so cool.
Jake, have you been to a burlesque show?
No, I had the opportunity to go, but I had no desire to see my sister strip, so I I backed out of that one.
Simply because the sight of her doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, listen, I am all about her loving herself and being herself, but
But if it's not your sister, you would be more.
oh, totally. I mean,
Okay,
no,
okay. I think that we ought to go. I went.
sure.
I went with my wife to one when we were in Vegas, and it was entertaining.
You should come to Burlesque Hall of Fame in June in Vegas. It's like I will say it is one of the best burlesque shows you will ever see, and it's a weekender. It's like a marathon, 4 nights of the world's best burlesque. People flying from everywhere. It's the Olympics of burlesque, but it's
My
We'll
friend
ruin you.
Kate, my friend Kate from my hometown actually moved out to Vegas and was burlesque dancer out in Vegas for a while. She just started back up actually. She's Kitschy-Koo.
Kitschy-Koo.
Yeah, no, yeah, she's been doing that out there for God, 2007, 2008, 2009.
Is there? You said there's no like age limit or anything. Do you personally have like a cutoff date in mind? No.
No, I look fly as shit. I had somebody tell me I look 24 the other day. I'm like,
Very nice. Very nice.
so as long as my knees don't give out on me, I was lucky too, because I mean, our legends, our burlesque legends, are like a finite resource. So like I've been trained by like several legends, and like these women are amazing. Like there's like my Canadian burlesque mama, Judith Stein, is in her 70s, and she's still stripping. Like, she's still performing, and she's sexy as shit. Like, she is like, whoo! It is. Do that little button. That little. Yeah, that one.
Very nice.
Yeah, so I'm like, it's inspiring, because I'm like, I think that I used to, when I started, people would be like, what's your backup plan? What's your backup plan? What are you going to do? And I'm just like, I thought it was, I grew up in a lot of poverty, and I've had a job since I was 11 years old. I've had like so many odd jobs. I worked at a casino. I was a bartender. You name it, I've done it. And like, I was a bookie for like an online like I've done so much stuff, and yeah, I think it's like, it really instilled this mentality that there's always something that can pay the bills. But like, you only get one shot at like happiness and joy, and like just do stuff that makes you happy. And if like, I don't know, maybe I could sell timeshares, or go into real estate, or like, no offense to anyone that does that. Just like, it's not my
Not
it's
your
not my
time.
jam. No, not my time.
Yeah.
But like, I won't necessarily be able to like do a jump split when I'm like 50, 60, 70. I don't know, like maybe with a knee replacement, hip replacement. But it's that kind of stuff where I'm like, okay, well, I'm really happy I stuck with it, because this is my job. I'm so lucky. Again, going back to Tampa, I was in Tampa with a friend that I haven't seen in probably a year, or not a year, like since June, 6 months. And I just had this like really nice thought where I'm just like, I have all these beautiful friendships, like real good friendships with people from all over the world that I get paid to go and see.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, and what a fantastic life. It's just great.
We joked a couple weeks ago that we've probably heard the most in any episode so far. 2+ years. I will say that's probably the record. But we joked about him making an appearance at a local dispensary out here for his brand. He's promoting himself, and
Yeah.
God bless him. He looks his age. So,
Yep.
Wait, who are we talking about?
Ric
Ric Flair.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, the woo you asked me to do, that is Rick, Sir Rick. So,
Music
so
to my
yes. So you just described your desire to do this as long as you can, and you said that earlier that your husband is even more passionate. So who do you think will stop first?
Ooh.
I don't know. Maybe our industry, our respective jobs will kill us both. Maybe we'll both die entertaining everybody.
that's
And
that's that's a
yeah,
valid. That's that's
um,
that's a good percentage of that happening.
no, I don't like. I just like I can't speak for myself, but like when I look at my husband, I'm like I just see endless potential. Like he is, and yeah, I know like obviously I'm biased. I'm married to him, but I'm like he's like the funniest person, one of the smartest people I've ever talked to. So fast on his feet, good on a mic, like just like everything that he does is amazing, and he's also just like so self-aware, um, and he's a good person. So I'm just like, yeah, those are the keys for success. Um, and we've been together like again in the span of 5 years to see like the growth that he's done in 5 years. Again, making like no money, driving across states, sleeping in the car, like all this stuff to where he's at right now. It's amazing. So like I don't know. I like is it always gonna be wrestling? I don't know. I I could see him doing anything. Uh, and yeah, I don't know. I think that for me, I just like to dance. I'm really motherly. Outside of being an actual mom, I really like helping other people. So I think that like right now I've accomplished uh, like I've accomplished everything that I've wanted to accomplish in burlesque. So I'm really trying to spend like the next few years fostering talent in other performers and helping other performers like break through, um, and like specifically performers of color because it's harder to get to the top, and there's like dealing with producers and venues and bias and like all this stuff that's like it feels like the cards are stacked against you and a lot of people just quit. I mean, entertainment regardless of like race is really a difficult hard lifestyle to get into and like to make a career. But yeah, I'm like I just want to help people if I can, and like also this is part of it too. Like I'm always happy to speak on sobriety because I'll share something that I heard in one of the rooms that really stuck with me. This guy was talking, and he's like 9 or 10 years sober, and I was kind of thinking, I'm like, what, like, why are you still coming to these meetings? Like, this is not. This is like I think I was like a few months in, so I was definitely like,
Yeah.
like, what do you got to say? Like, why are you here? And he said something to the effect of, like, I come into these rooms because only here is the most horrible thing that I've ever done to somebody or to myself. Something that can be used like a superpower. It's like something that can help somebody. It's something that can save somebody's life. Because how many times have we tried and failed to get sober when we've just asked for help, right? It's always like through the help of another addict, right? Like
Yep.
that's where you see yourself. That's where you can be the most honest. And there's like no judgment in those rooms. So just hearing it's so simple and it was so beautiful where it's like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. Where it's just like you get to a point in your journey where it's like also, oh, what's that sound? Oh, that was
It's another moment.
it
Another
was a moment.
moment.
They, but yeah, you get to a point in your journey where it's like it's not about you anymore. It's like about what you can do for other people, um, and how you can help other people.
You talked about it earlier. You said that there are at a certain points it turns into gatekeeping, and you said
Mm.
that in a negative connotation. So it sounds like you're able to take that and flip it and make it into a positive. So
Yeah, I was just trying to take the edge off of things.
yeah,
Or like, people get intimidated by lots of things. I've I teach whenever I'm on the road and stuff like that. So sometimes people are like, "How long have you been performing?" I'm like, 17 years. Like, wow, that's a lot of time. And I'm like, yeah, but I've only been good for like maybe 5 of those 17 years. Be real, like. So yeah, I'm like, people like to get really attitudey about, especially in like, I'm sure it's like this in wrestling. I'm sure it's like this in drag. But people come in with ego. We're we're all egomaniacs. We all like to be on stage. We like the attention. Me, 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 me. But when you have a room full
Hmm.
of me, 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 it gets like really tense sometimes.
Mm.
And backstage, it's just like I just like to be myself. I like to have
Yep.
like chill energy, be friendly with people, have good conversations because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if I'm opening or closing, we all get 5 minutes on stage. We all get 5 minutes to do our thing, and it's just burlesque. It's just burlesque. It's beautiful and it's fun. But I think anybody that comes in with like an ego or just like a like I'm better than you attitude, it's very telling. Um, I always often read that as like a sign of insecurity.
It's
Um,
like that in bodybuilding too, for
yeah,
sure.
like taking up all the space, and then like you're
Yeah.
kind of parading about. And I remember that when I started doing competitions. um, you know, every once in a while I meet somebody backstage that was like a little bit nasty, and I was just like, "Oh, you're worried about me, sweet."
Mhm.
Like you're kind of being a dick because you're probably stressed and cool.
Good, good.
Good. Yeah, so I don't know. I think you could just it's pretty easy to be nice to people. It's actually it takes a lot of effort to be mean to people or to be an active asshole. So like I just try to live each day the nicest version of myself, which
And you don't need religion to do that.
new.
Weird. Oh,
Weird.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
One more time.
It's just like you're saying that racism exists. I don't get it. I don't.
these are the two. I hope you know what I fully anticipate. I was joking with I have a friend that is a burlesque dancer, and they are a big wrestling fan as well. And we always joke about the dirt sheets.
Yeah.
And like they're like, "Oh, I can't wait for you to end up on the dirt sheets." I'm like, "No, no, no, the bed sheets." I only do the bed sheets, not the dirt sheets. That was something I was
is
like
that
joking.
is that the underground burlesque newsletters? Who's the
I'm gonna start the bed sheets.
you should be the burlesque Dave Meltzer.
Yeah, I it's wild. I was like kind of joking with this person, being like, "Yeah, like I'm excited to do this podcast because it's nice to be asked to do stuff, and I'm happy to spread the message of sobriety." Um, but I was like, I wonder what the takeaway is going to be. If there's going to be some, if anyone's watching this, if you're watching this, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you, dirt sheets. And I read a headline on Twitter tomorrow about anything coming for you, coming for you.
So you don't currently have a show. You don't have anything to where you gatekeep in in this fashion.
Like, what do you mean? Like, I don't produce a show?
No, like you don't have your own podcast. You don't have your own outlet for the
Oh,
inside dirt.
I mean, I have a Twitter account. It's my Twitter is so like not burlesque related at all, and it's fun.
Well,
Well,
if you're looking to
yeah.
start your own show, have you heard of Buy to Buy Studios? Uh, he runs a pretty great ship, actually. Helps my dumbass sound amazing all the time.
No, but seriously, whether I'm involved with that or not, like your story, the the context, the colors, like there's a lot, like you said, there's a lot to be taken away from, and the best way to do what you do already is to do that where people already are. And so this is the easiest way to really just put a camera up, and you're not shy in front of a camera or a mic. So
Yeah,
it plays right into your wheelhouse. So you mentioned earlier, when you were younger and you were struggling with burlesque, you're like, I need to make this work. I need to make this make money. Now technology allows it to make money for you. So
yeah. This sounds like a pyramid scheme.
God damn, man. I'm telling you,
Tell
man.
me what the pink Cadillac I'm gonna
When you work enough to make yourself sound good, it always comes off as a fucking snake oil salesman, bro. Like, no matter what, it always does. So I apologize. I need to make it sound. I don't know.
Oh,
friends and I always talk about doing podcasts and stuff like that because we talk about doing like when we retire of doing like just like stripper just watching horror movies and like, but I feel like that you just like we could do anything. We could do
You do
strippers
anything you want, absolutely anything. Yeah.
and I feel like we'd have a market for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll pick something, but
I'm interested to know how a 70-plus-year-old legend burlesque dancer reacts to horror movies. That would be an interesting watch.
I mean, I feel like yeah, Judith is like the toughest lady I know. I feel like she's like tough as nails. I don't think that anything would scare her.
talk about a road dog like that forever. She's like, whatever.
If you want to talk about road dog, Judith survived the 70s working like the strip club circuit. That was just tough as nails. Just yeah.
You know what? I'm sorry. Did you hear that little blue noise coming on your side at all? Ever so often?
I think it's like my phone.
Yeah, she gets an alert on her end.
Okay, yeah. So we have a live chat up, and we have not acknowledged the live chat at all because I was really enjoying our conversation. On top of, we wanted to respect your time too. But no, you're fine. We have a friend. His name's Matt Shepard, and he's just been dropping dimes this whole time.
Blowing up the comment section.
I can't see the chat. Oh wait, I see the button now. Oh my goodness. Okay, is this Flextra?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's our most loyal viewer.
Hey Flex.
So shout out Flex once again. Staying and
Yeah,
so we are 90 minutes plus, and he's like he goes, you guys are still going?
Go all night.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I do have to like go and do like the mom stuff.
No, this is definitely a long
concert tomorrow, so I have to pick up my evening gown.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We really do appreciate it. I really enjoyed this. It's very enlightening on multiple ways. I mean, I feel like I've learned a lot, and we'd love to have you back anytime you want to come back on.
Anytime.
Do you have a show that you're coming up that you'd like to plug? Anything you'd like to sell tickets for?
Yeah. So I'm going to be in New Orleans in January 18th to 20th for Teaser Fest. I'm going to be at the Burlesque Hall of Fame in June. There's a bunch of other stuff that I haven't been announced for yet, so I cannot say. But I'm going to be in Ohio for Toy-Hio in February. That's February 11th. And I'll be there with Danhausen. And yeah, it's our first signing together. So come and see that.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because we don't really do signings in burlesque.
Sorry?
We don't really do signings in burlesque. So I'm happy to have the invitation, but also it's funny. I was like, what do I expect? And Donovan was like, there's lots of kids. And I was like, ooh, not my demographic. Be like smoking a cigarette. Like, listen, kid.
Oh, man.
Life's what you make it, champ.
You do figure skating? They're training for the pole.
The show, man.
This is great.
Gems everywhere.
This has been so good. Well, thank you for listening to the Sober Swole podcast, everybody. Once again, I'm Jake Howard.
And I go by DJ Swirl. Lulu, thank you again for taking the time, making the time for us. And until next time, Warhorse, send off.
Hey, it's Warhorse. Do you want your workouts to look like this? Or do you want your workouts to slay? pre-workout. He wants it to slay. If you want second place, go with somebody else. If you want to be a champion, go with Royalty Nutrition.
And there we go. We are out.